Hey, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade. So we're going to talk about NXT December the 12th. We're going to make this one a long episode because we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. First, we're going to talk about the new signees. Then we're going to talk about the show. And then we're going to do War Games predictions. All right? So this is going to be one big episode. So WWE announced 6 new signees to the Performance Center. Ikemen Sojiro Higuchi, who used to wrestle at Wrestle One in All Pro Pro Wrestling. He was trained by Tajiri. I've never seen this guy before. I've seen some All Japan Pro Wrestling, but I'm not sitting down watching all of it. I just don't. I think the most recent match I watched had Yoshitatsu in the main event. Alex Zane, we talked about him before on the channel when we talked about the football players. He has 15 years of experience. He wrestled at Ring of Honor and GCW. You also have Desmond Alexander, who was a 1/3 of the Rascals from Impact. Zachary Wentz, the second member of the Rascals, who also from Impact. Rust Taylor, who I believe I just saw on Ring of Honor over the last couple of weeks. Maybe he was in the Pure tournament. He was from Ring of Honor. And Anriel Howard, a former WNBA player, who is, I think the girl was kind of fine too, man. Like, she was kind of hot. All right, so here's my thing. I like Dez and Wentz because these are two people I'm very sure I've seen before. I'm not sure if I ever seen Zayn or Ikemen before. And of course, I've seen Russ Taylor. He was in the Pure tournament. My problem with this is that they have not fully integrated the last class yet. The August Grays, the Leon Ruffs, the Kurt Stallions. These guys are basically trapped on 205 Live. NXT does not really fold in these talent for a long time. So some of these guys like Dez and Wentz, who've been on TV already, it's like they've been on TV for over a year now. I'm guessing they're gonna populate the 205 Live division, sure, but then you can still have guys who were in this class of recruits who still aren't doing anything. Like, Isaiah Swerve Scott, like, he disappeared from TV unless he's hurt. Like, where the hell is he? Jake Atlas, they barely use him. WWE needs to go on a hiring freeze for a little while. I'm talking like an almost year hiring freeze. They have too much talent. They have too much. They need to start, and I know that they have a mixture of people like Anriel Howard who have no wrestling experience. She's probably going to be on the roster for the next 3 fucking years doing push-ups and calisthenics, and then she's going to show up like in 2024 and finally start doing something. Like, a lot of this stuff, yes, it's an investment in the future. You have to retrain some of these people, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if it's smart for them to have so much talent and you still have so many people that you don't use. Unless you're going to start doing your spring cleaning, where you're going to have all these people who are not progressing and you're going to start letting them go as you bring people in. That would be the smarter thing to do. I mean, I know that he did let people go in April, but, they probably freed up a lot of money because a lot of the people that they let go were like older people like Briscoe and the one guy who was there for 35 years. He worked in tech and stuff. He probably was like a multimillionaire. So they probably saved themselves some money with those guys. But, having this abundance of talent doesn't really do us any good, especially if you don't use them. If you sign these people and then they disappear, what really can you do? And you're not fully utilizing all of the players that you have. Sometimes, and then you're trying to bring in some people over from NXT UK who have burnt out over there, like the Grizzled Young Veterans and Imperium, like those guys who have pretty much, done everything they can do in NXT UK. You bringing them over too, and then fucking 205 Live is 20 minutes. It's like you need to utilize your time better. But this looks like a stacked thing. This is like a stacked group. I look forward to seeing Dez and Wentz again. I look forward to seeing what Zayn and Taylor can do. I have no doubts that I won't see Anriel Howard for another 2 years. They're going to keep her really under wraps, because I don't see any. She's a basketball player. She's not a wrestler. So I wish her the best. And Ikeman, I have no idea who he is. He's probably just there because Tajiri suggested it. But I wish all of these new talents well. Let's hope that they flourish and they don't end up with just being people who hold lockers in the performance center. So the official officially started with a moment of silence with Pat Patterson. And they showed a played a video package featuring Frank Sinatra's I Did It My Way. It was a beautiful package. It was fantastic. I did not do a video for Pat Patterson, mainly because he was way before my time. And the only thing I really know about Pat Patterson is, one, he's the first Intercontinental Champion, and he was just basically given the belt because he did not win it in a tournament. Two, he is the creator of the Royal Rumble. Three, he was one of the Stooges. Four, he was part of that Ring Boy scandal. The Ring Boy scandal. My fucking God. There's so many people now are like, wait a minute. He molested kids. And it was like, wait a minute, you probably need to do some more research, bro. Like y'all need to really do some research. Like, and stop throwing that stuff around. But to me, Pat Patterson is he was just kind of like the old guy that hung out with Vince and all the other old guys. But he was really fun, dude. Like, you hear stories about him. You see, like, the clips of him being on TV. You just tell that he might have been a fun guy. Whether he did the stuff that it's the same thing with Pat Patterson it is with Riddle and Velveteen Dream and all this type of stuff. Ain't nobody knows. Nobody has any idea. I've seen people say, well, he didn't do it, but he maybe know who did. Or, this guy was just, because Pat Patterson was out as being gay, he thought Pat Patterson was an easy target and all that type of stuff. Look, man, I don't know. I have no idea. Man, I was 8 when that shit happened. Okay? That shit was in 1992 or something like that. I was probably 8 or 9 years old. I didn't know anything about that stuff. But he didn't go to jail for it. Jerry Lawler didn't go to jail either. So who knows? O.J. Simpson didn't go to jail either. I have a way of, if you didn't go to jail, fuck it, it's over. Even if I believe that you did it in a colloquial sense, that you got away with it. There had to be a reason you got away with it. I just don't have the energy to continue to lambast people for stuff that I'm not sure whether they did it or not. I have this uncanny ability to move on, unless but it's sad that that has become his legacy. He wasn't even dead an hour before I started seeing those tweets of, I hope his victims get the same amount of sympathy. It's like, what victims, bro? Like, most of these people aren't even old enough to know what the fuck was going on at the time. And then because none of this stuff is going to court, people can make any other comments they want. People can tell 100 different stories. Nobody's like, it could be 47 people involved, man. You're not going to look at these people individually and say, okay, this guy's telling the truth, this guy isn't. This guy's talking about something completely different and got nothing to do with him. We're not going through that. So there's no point in it. If there was evidence, people would have gotten arrested and would have gone to jail. Pat Patterson didn't go to jail. As far as I know, Pat Patterson quit because he was accused and he didn't want the heat to be on the company. And he never really came back in a full-time capacity. Even though he was still around, he kind of just basically stepped out of the spotlight because, he didn't want that. Well, he didn't want what ended up happening when he died to have happened while he was alive. But I'm not saying I'm a big fan of Pat Patterson, but I really appreciate his what he done for the business, and I appreciate the hell out of Pat Patterson. And he had a hell of a match with Sergeant Slaughter in 1981. I believe it was a boot camp match. I did see that. I'm not going to explain how I saw it, but I watched it because I had to see something. I mean, Pat Patterson, we talked about the guys being a legend. I'm like, okay, I had to see something, and I didn't watch it like today or anything like that, but I've seen it like 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, so let's get into this. Get into this show. So it was supposed to be Kurt Stallion versus Leon Ruff. Well, Kurt Stallion and Leon Ruff versus Legado del Fantasma or Santos Escobar and Raul Mendoza. But Kurt Stallion was taken out, or he was down, he was injured, and he was replaced by Damian Priest. So it was Damian Priest and Leon Ruff versus Santos Escobar and Raul Mendoza. So Joaquin Wilde was taken out, and Johnny Gargano was on commentary, and they made a very odd decision to make Damian Priest the babyface in peril. Very odd decision. Very odd decision. Also, Leon Ruff is a third of the size of the cruiserweight champion Santos Escobar. This man is an atom weight. Okay, he is one of the smallest human beings I think I've ever seen. He's, super skinny. I mean, really skinny. Really skinny. I mean, you could probably drown him with a raindrop. He's bad. He's skinny. But he has energy, and I like that. Now they gave Legado del Fantasma the offense by having Damian Priest be distracted by ghost faces, and now there's these ghost faces that keep popping up. There was one ghost face in the crowd. You got Damian Priest. He got attacked by Santos Escobar, and that's how they got the advantage. But then near the end of the match, there was two more in the crowd behind Johnny Gargano. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's their obsession with these goddamn masked people, and why everybody got masked people all over the place. I don't get it. There was a nice finish with the Reckoning into the Frog Splash. You know what? I will say this. I'm kind of over the Frog Splash idea. This is the third guy in the WWE alone that uses the Frog Splash as a finish. No more. Leon Ruff's finish needs to be changed. Montez Ford using the Frog Splash. Rey Mysterio using the Frog Splash. Dominic uses the Frog Splash. No more Frog Splash. No more, please. No mas. Okay? No fucking mas. Change it. In fact, most of the people need to change it. Montez Ford's Frog Splash is fantastic, by the way. It is excellent. But Leon Ruff using the Frog Splash as a finish, can do. We need to do something else. I'm not playing that. He needs to change his finish. And every time I see him do it, I'm going to say he needs to change his finish. Let's see. So, Shotzi Blackheart's team was expanded over the course of the week. Like, they kept posting these random-ass videos of, stilted conversations of, like, Ember Moon and Rhea Ripley approaching Shotzi Blackheart in these terrible backstage promos. I have no idea what Shotzi was supposed to be carving out, or what she's welding. Like, what is she supposed to be building? Like, the fuck is going on? I think it just says TCB, taking care of business. I don't know what it was supposed to be doing here, man, but maybe it's a new tank that she's going to bring out at War Games. That might be pretty cool if that's the case. But Ember, well, we learned who the third member of the team would be, but at this point in time, we only knew that Ember Moon and Rhea Ripley were going to be her partners. So then we get a night on the town with Undisputed Era. And they looked like the cast of Reservoir Dogs. They were wearing suits, sitting in the back of a limo. They were concerned about this the first time fighting from behind. They took a moment to reflect. I didn't mind this. The Undisputed Era has been a part of every NXT War Games episode. It's like, it's going to be a really weird thing. Like, I don't think these guys are ever leaving at this point. Like, I don't think they're ever going anywhere, because they still have to do the breakup angle. They're going to have to eventually do the breakup angle. And you're probably eventually going to have to do another one of the members go solo. Like, they tried it with Kyle O'Reilly. I think the Kyle O'Reilly thing still has some legs to it. Roderick Strong definitely has some legs in a solo run. Bobby Fish probably not. I think he's kind of injury prone. But I didn't mind this little vignettes. This little vignette right here. It would have been cool if they did something with, like, had them with some girls. Like, it was really strange. It was just like the four guys. There was no girls to be seen, and it was kind of like that felt weird to me. Like, it's not even like, well, look, I know that some of these guys probably married or something like that. I know definitely Roderick Strong is married. I know, Adam Cole has a girlfriend and all this type of stuff. I get it. But you need to put some chicks in this limo. You need to put some girls in there. They're supposed to be, winding down and, trying to get. And yes, I know they're supposed to be getting their mind right, but they could be doing both. Like Flair. Like Flair used to do both. Flair would go out, get his mind right, and getting his mind right meant chasing ass. I like him with a full sweater and an empty head. You know, like Flair was always about it. And that's kind of like, I was looking at it in that mode where like these guys are like the new Four Horsemen. And I know that's probably makes somebody's ears bleed. They're like, Undisputed Era is a new Four Horsemen. Like, yeah, kind of. Bobby Fish is sort of the older guy, the manager, even though he still works. Adam Cole is sort of the flair. He's supposed to be the attitude. He's the charisma. The Roderick Strong is the Arn Anderson. He's the enforcer. He's the muscle. He's the guy. He's the guy who he gets down there. He gets dirty. And Kyle O'Reilly is Tully. He's the worker. Even though I think maybe Kyle O'Reilly might be the enforcer, because he's the hardest hitting of the group. He's the the most legit when it comes to like mixed martial arts and stuff like that. So maybe you could switch where Tully is more Roderick Strong, because Tully was the worker of the Horsemen. Not that the other ones couldn't work, but he was sort of the work guy. He was the Buddy not the Buddy Rogers, but the Buddy Roberts, Freebirds for people who don't know. Yeah, the workhorse. Let's put it like that, the workhorse. But so you have these guys. There's no fucking girls. There needs to be some girls. That's the only problem I had, though. Like, they could have ditched the girls and went and, outside and do some other stuff and, had a beer or something. But there needed to be some girls. Like, who the hell just has, like, why are you going to prom and there ain't no girls? I don't know about that one, dog. So we get August Gray versus Cameron Grimes. And this match they do a good job with Cameron Grimes because his opponents they get some offense, but he almost always wins in dominant fashion, which is kind of really strange because they actually booked Cameron Grimes very well. With the exception of him being cartoonishly scared of Dexter Lumis and being an absolute cartoon character in his own right. He's basically Foghorn Leghorn. But they let August Gray get a little bit of offense, but this match was not 4 minutes. If it was 4 minutes, I'd be surprised. After the match, Grimes whipped Gray. He put the strap on Gray. He talked some trash. He whipped him a couple of times. Gray rolled outside of the ring while Cameron Grimes talked and strutted and being whatever Cameron Grimes is supposed to be, an absolute carny, I guess. And then when he turned around, Dexter Lumis was there. Dexter Lumis hit him with the strap a couple of times. And, Grimes ran away. It was like, okay. It was effective, I guess. It was effective enough. It wasn't the best thing in the world. Because, again, it's the same shit that we've been doing for the last 3 weeks where Cameron Grimes just gets cartoonishly scared and runs away. It doesn't benefit us at all. Now, Tony Nese, he actually got to breathe. He got to escape the coffin that is 205 Live. He was on TV long enough to wrestle Jake Atlas. They changed Jake Atlas's theme music, which means that they might actually be pushing him now, which is not bad. He got to cut a promo after the match, but him and Tony Nese had a pretty decent match. It was too long because I know Tony Nese wasn't going to win. Like, Tony Nese doesn't even talk. He barely makes TV. Well, he never is on NXT. So I knew he wasn't going to win. So why he has so much offense, I'll never know. I always think Tony Nese is okay. Like, he has no personality, but they don't do anything with him anyway. Like, I think he's kind of like in that Buff Bagwell situation where you probably remember Buff Bagwell when he was in WCW. He was just Marcus Alexander Bagwell. And it took for him to turn heel and for people to actually start paying attention to him, for him to become buff. I'm buff and I'm the stuff. Not saying that, that's main event, but it's something. And I think that they could have done that with Tony Nese. And I know that he's lethally short. I think he's probably like 5'6", maybe 5'7". He's under 5'8", I can tell you that. But he's got a great physique, fantastic physique. You could have used you could use this guy in some way, you know. But I don't know what they got against Tony Nese, where they just keep him in 205 Live, the dungeons of 205 Live. I will say this, Jake Atlas, see, I should have known when Dave Meltzer was high on him that I wasn't gonna really like him that much. Now the problem isn't really Jake Atlas. The problem is his strikes are terrible. Like I said before, that he needs to work on his punches. He really needs to work on his punches. He really needs to work on his punches. And I hate his finish. It's like cartwheel DDT from the top rope. I hate that move. It's like the 619, where you have to be in an impossible position for a ridiculous amount of time for the move to actually work and look effective. You know, it's a cartwheel DDT from the top rope. It's absolute garbage. You know, now if he could do that in a regular match, like, you know, maybe it's like a regular cartwheel into a DDT, or like maybe he tried like a universal back body drop or something into a DDT. You're like, okay, whatever. But it's just basically a DDT from the top rope. I'm not a fan. After the match, he talked about, you know, hey, I thought he was turning heel because he was kind of aggressive. He's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah. I'm like, okay, maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But he wasn't turning heel. He's basically talking about being, you know, turning himself around and picking himself up. And now he's going to go after the Cruiserweight Championship. And I was like, okay, all right. So we get a Pat McAfee promo, which was once again fantastic. You know, I was thinking about, right after this promo, after it ended, I was saying to myself, I can't believe I was so mad that Pat McAfee was going to be involved with this. I was really mad. Like, I don't know if you guys were paying attention when I made the videos before the Pat McAfee Adam Cole match. I was legit pissed that they were using Adam Cole to get over Pat McAfee. But now I can't imagine it going any other way. I love Pat McAfee. He's he's damn near the GOAT when it comes to cutting promos. His shit is smooth. It is legit. It's old school heel stuff. Like he gave a rest in peace for Pat Patterson. Said he respected him, but what he doesn't respect all the marks. He doesn't respect all the idiots in the crowd, and he doesn't respect the Undisputed Era. He said that, you know, that the Undisputed Era night out was lame. That a bunch of rented tuxedos, a rented limousine, and a low-level pizzeria. He talked about his team being put together by money. Like, your team is put together by brotherhood and being a bunch of losers. My team is put together by money. The best tag team money can buy. You know, best tag team in the world. Pete Dunne is a killer. He started talking about all of the great things he did. Like he gave a Ferrari or something like that to a guy who was not even there. He invested in greatness. That's a fucking fantastic line. And he's not doing it in a $1 million way, Ted DiBiase kind of way. You know, he's not doing it in that way. He's doing it in a sort of, like he's splurging, but not because he's a rich man trying to corrupt people. Well, basically, he's giving people what they wanted, and these people had problems with Undisputed Era anyway. And basically, he just hired some mercenaries. I love that. Like, he hired basically some fucking Pinkertons to go in there and take out Undisputed Era. Like, this is great shit. You know, they're not even trying to pretend like they're a brotherhood or anything like that. He is a client of theirs. Like, that's good shit. So, that was awesome, man. He basically said they're gonna end Undisputed Era for good. Everybody in this match has a reason to be there. Adam Cole made a fool out of Pat McAfee. Pete Dunne got made a fool of by Roderick Strong. The tag team champions routinely made a fool out of Lorcan and Birch. This is good shit. So we get Grizzled Young Veterans. They had a package, but before we get to there, we had the symbolic rebirth of Xia Li and Boa, where they kept having to dunk themselves underwater. They were not being waterboarded. which is what I thought. I was like, why are they being waterboarded? And I was like, no, they're being forced to almost drown, though. It was great. I'm loving this whole Boa Zayali thing because it's brutal. It's brutal in a stereotypical Chinese way, where failure is not is not is not taken lightly. But they kept having to dunk their heads underwater, and then the teacher or whatever kept saying again, 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 and they kept dunking themselves. They couldn't breathe. And then when it was finally over, they had spiffy new suits, and then they got hit with kendo sticks. So the beatings continue until morale improves. So we get Everrise, and the moment I see Everrise, man, I want to flip everything. I hate Everrise. The only thing good about them is they cut these really funny 80s style promos. So Imperium attacked them from behind, and I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting." And Imperium basically say, "Oh, the tag team division is ours. This is our thing." And Grizzled Young Veterans, we put you guys in your places, before, and we're gonna do it again. I'm like, okay, I'm all right. So it was Imperium versus the Grizzled Young Veterans, and they had a pretty good match. And then Everrise came back, and I should have known they were going to come back, but I didn't know they were going to come back. It made sense though, because Grizzled Young Veterans are heels, Imperium are heels. They're trying to rebuild the tag team division, so they're not going to just have one of these teams beat each other. So they had Everrise come in and get everybody disqualified. And then Everrise, being the delusional bastards that they are, yelling Everrise rules. Everrise rules! That's right. We rule. And they they basically ran from the building, still in their gear because all the other guys wanted to kill them. So that was pretty cool. So then we get our Thatch as Thatch Can segment, which I thought was great because it was addressing something that I feel is a real problem, which is distractions. So Thatcher is saying he's going to teach us how to deal with distractions. So he barely gets started before Tommaso Ciampa shows up. And obviously Thatcher doesn't want to smoke with Tommaso Ciampa, at least not at that particular point in time. And then he says, "Hey, I have a student." He's like, I'm not here to learn, I'm here to teach." And I'm like, what is Ciampa's problem? Why he's so hard-assed about Thatcher? So Thatcher, of course, backs off. And Tommaso Ciampa was like, "Oh yeah, Timothy Thatcher, tough guy." And then, Thatcher came back in there, and Tommaso Ciampa sized him up again, and Thatcher was like, I don't got no problem. I don't know what your problem is. And then he shot on him. Double leg takedown. And of course, Tommaso Ciampa is the babyface, so he gets the upper hand. And then we get the moral of the story, because Timothy Thatcher's student starts attacking Tommaso Ciampa from behind. Ciampa turns around and hit that guy, and Thatcher takes advantage. And then Thatcher ends up choking Tommaso Ciampa out. And it was amazing. It was dope. And then, of course, Thatcher later, said, put out the challenge for War Games, and said that he was impressed with his student, and he was glad that finally somebody is starting to listen and learn from him. So the main event was Raquel Gonzalez versus Shotzi Blackheart in a ladder match to decide who was going to have the advantage in the War Games. And for some strange reason, the babyface won. Why? I don't get that at all. I don't get that one at all. Whatever. It was a pretty standard match. It was fun. I mean, Raquel is still very awkward in the ring. But Indy Hartwell helped the heels escape their perch. They all came down. It was a big scrum. Everybody was fighting everybody. And then Io Shirai hopped out of nowhere to help Shotzi Blackheart. And so Io Shirai is going to be on Shotzi Blackheart's team. And that was the show, strangely enough. So now we can get into predictions for War Games. All right, so Sunday is going to be a big day because Sunday is War Games. It is also the day Tribute to the Troops will be airing. So War Games starts at 6, I believe. That's the pre-show, and I believe the actual show starts at 7. And the tribute to the troops will air on Fox, but it will be at the discretion of the Fox affiliate because they are posting it around football. So whenever there's not a football game, which is probably going to be a local thing, you will get tribute to the troops. But you can always watch NXT. And it'd be very strange if people post NXT, like while NXT is on, tribute to the troops is also on. That's going to be really strange. But anyway, let's talk about this card. The card is solid. You know, there's one particular match I'm really interested in. There's the main event is very, very interesting. Well, one of the main events are very interesting. Everything else is basically just okay. It's not my favorite takeover of all time. It is actually one of the weaker built takeovers because it seems to all have just been pulled together within the last 3 weeks. Well, last 3 or 4 weeks. But let's talk about it. So it is for the North American Championship. Leon Ruff will defend against Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest. Now, smart money will say, "Oh, he's going to put the belt on Damian Priest." I don't believe it. I think Leon Ruff wins the match. I think Leon Ruff wins this match. And I think he needs to win in order to sort of establish him as a babyface champion. And you could always, again, have him lose to somebody else. Yes, I do believe that, you know, Johnny Gargano has these ghost faces, and we're going to finally find out who these people are. I do think it's going to be a tag team. Could it possibly be some of the new signees? I don't know. But these guys are bigger than Johnny Gargano. Well, the ghost faces that we've seen so far have been bigger than Johnny Gargano. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with these guys. I'm not entirely certain. But Johnny Gargano doesn't need the belt. Damian Priest needs to go up and be wrestling either Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre. We thought I was going to say Finn Balor. No. But Leon Ruff is the only one who needs to win this match. Give him a big win to solidify him as a solid babyface, and then we can start moving him more into a more legitimate feud. You have Dexter Lumis versus Cameron Grimes in a strap match, and because Dexter Lumis won the Haunted House match, and I'm not so sure who won the last match the two had against each other. I believe this is going to be the blow off, which I think Dexter Lumis is going to win. Now it may be, I think that's kind of smart to have Dexter Lumis win. Cameron Grimes is not going to be harmed by a loss. Maybe you have, I don't know what you do with Lumis after this. That's a big question. I don't know what you do with Grimes after this, because do you have Grimes challenge Ruff? I guess that's possible. But then you also have Finn Balor, who has no opponent at all. But I think Finn Balor's opponent is pretty much going to be set in the main event. So I definitely think you go with Lumis as the winner of the strap match. My favorite match on this card is Timothy Thatcher versus Tommaso Ciampa. This match is a pick'em. Usually in these matches, Timothy Thatcher will lose because he, doesn't really ever win these sorts of one-on-one clashes. And I think that's going to continue. I think Tommaso Ciampa is going to win. It would be nice if Tommaso Ciampa was going to be Finn Balor's opponent. That would be nice, But I don't know what they're doing with these guys. These guys are they're in their mid-30s. Most of these guys. One of them, I think Finn Balor is almost 40. If not, he is 40. These gatekeepers, they're in a good spot, but they're kind of, what do you do with them after, they get their run? And I know that Tommaso Ciampa is not done. He's not done. And Thatcher hasn't even really gotten started yet. So it could be, Thatcher wins in order to put him onto a next level, have him face Ruff for the North American title. That could work, but I don't know, because everything is so rushed and weird with NXT sometimes, and they're sort of trying to reboot the tag team division and all that type of stuff too. They got a lot going on. So the Candice LeRae team versus Shotzi Blackheart's team. Candice LeRae's team, for those who don't know, is Candice LeRae, Toni Storm, the freshly turned heel Toni Storm, Raquel Gonzalez, and Dakota Kai. And their opponents will be Shotzi Blackheart, Io Shirai, Rhea Ripley, and Ember Moon. This is essentially an all-star game. This is all the best women in NXT right now. And this is going to be fun. I fully expect Shotzi Blackheart's team to win this match. But I would not be upset if Toni Storm got a piece of Io Shirai, so that could be her next feud. I definitely think that's kind of where the money is in. Was in Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley. They did that match on TV. Now the next is Toni Storm because she's a heel now. So I definitely think that Candice LeRae needs to lose because they need to get their comeuppance. And this is the best way to do it. But you can do it in a way where Toni Storm has unfinished business with somebody else and with Io Shirai from this match. And you could spin their feud out of this match. And maybe this would probably be the last match for Rhea Ripley before she get brought up. Because I know she said she's been waiting. She thought she was going to get drafted, and she didn't. And everyone's basically been telling her, you're going to get called up, you're going to get called up. And then it never happened. But I don't know. Like, what do you do with Rhea Ripley after this match is the question. Who does she feud with? Who does she work with? What do you do? And I just don't have any answers. She's done everything she can do in NXT. And you know what? It'd only be a couple of more weeks before, you can move her up to Raw and have her face Asuka. That would be great, but that's assuming the whole thing with Asuka and Lana would be over. So I definitely think Shotzi Blackheart's going to win. So you have Undisputed Era versus Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's team is Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Oney Lorcan versus the Undisputed Era of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. So this match is going to be very fun. It's going to be very hard-hitting. Lorcan and Burch are killers. So is Pete Dunne when Pete Dunne isn't looking cringe. And what I mean by cringe is the way he throws punches. The way Pete Dunne throws punches sometimes is very, very cringe, especially when he does those silly, rapid punches where, he's trying to have an epic match, which is, his weakness is sometimes these people try to have an epic match instead of trying to just have a legit-looking match. So this match should be badass. Pat McAfee's definitely going to come in last and literally almost do nothing. And I expect Lorcan or Burch to take the pinfall. So, in order to sort of protect Pat McAfee, just in case he wants to come back. But I love this super villain-like idea of his of, I'm going to come back later with my boys, and we're going to put you on the ground. I dig that. So I think the babyfaces are going to win both War Games matches. And so it ought to be a fun show because it's NXT, so you can't really botch it. But they really do need to put some effort into these shows and take your time and build these goddamn shows. This War Games thing just kind of snuck up on everybody. And then we became... They were still putting Shotzi's team together a week before the show. It's ridiculous. They had no plans of what to do. But that's it, man. So we talked about everything you need to talk about. Oh, it's a long show. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video. Did you like this episode of NXT? I thought it was okay. It wasn't the best. But it was alright. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video. Share the video. Subscribe to the channel. I'm glad hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll talk to you guys later.